Yeah, what is up, Battle Union fans, and welcome to the Power Rankings number 6 post week 5 with your two analysts, me, Schady,
and myself, Shroomraver.
And this was a very, very interesting week. A lot of things have happened that were, not kind of expected. A lot of weird games. The top players haven't performed like top players.
Yeah.
And the Power Rankings were just really, really difficult.
Yeah, very, very difficult to be choosing what position to put people in. Once again, our results, our findings, our opinions are sort of fairly similar up to a point. A lot of, up until really quite high up in the list is where we first sort of differ in our opinions. And we should say, as we do every week, they are just that. They are our opinions. This is just how we see the coaches after their performances. Over the course of the week and the season as a whole, these are our opinions. They do not reflect the overarching sort of opinions of everybody. If you have different opinions, do please put them down in the comment section below. Let us know what you think of our lists, and indeed let us know what your lists would be.
Especially considering how difficult and close this was, we definitely want to see some other opinions.
So, absolutely.
Yeah. Shroom's going to kick off us today because reasons.
Yes, I will be starting things off today. So starting at the bottom, number 12, we have Jedi/Ethan and the Highland Houndooms. Ethan taking over for a short time from Jedi for just a couple of weeks, I believe.
I think 2 weeks, yeah. So just one more.
Yeah, just one more for Ethan. He took the 2-0 loss to the Arcanines, the Slovenian Arcanines.
I have that spot as well, by the way. Everything is going to stay the same unless I send something else.
Yeah, so. Very much. We have the same positions until sort of we say otherwise. Yes. So yeah, Houndooms in at number 12. Yeah, it was an unfortunate debut in the TBU for Ethan. I was a bit sort of questioning as to why he brought both of his grass types. He inherited a team that had just picked up Superior, and he also had the Mega Septile. I questioned why he brought both of them.
I questioned why Superior's even on a team, to be honest.
That too.
Doesn't make sense to me, but hey.
I mean, with Xenon having mons like Arcanine and Dragalge, things that can take hits on the special side from grass types and their coverage moves. He did some things were going well. He managed to get the rocks up, which was nice to see for the Houndooms. That's been a rarity. He lost his Scarfer early, and he lost answers to the offensive Arcanine that Mon's namesake team brought. That Scarf, was it a Scarfed Arcanine?
Yep, Scarfed Special Arcanine.
Special Scarfed Arcanine, which is not to be expected necessarily, but he lost his answers to that very early, and from there it was always going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah.
There were some good ideas, Ethan is trying to put his own spin on this team. You can see there's something of a slight rebuilding process going on with the mons he's bringing in via trade and the mons he's picking up from the bench, and the way he's using some of Jedi's picks, like that nasty pass Mr. Mime, which didn't quite work as he would like, mainly down to the good play of Xenon.
Yep.
I'm assuming he had some fire coverage in there somewhere for the Sizzle.
He did have HP fire.
He did have HP fire.
Superior and Scepter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I
mean, to be fair, he had a bad roll on Meloetta.
That is true.
It was a low roll, allowing Meloetta to live and kill the Terrakion, which was incredibly unfortunate for him. I think he got a really, really low roll on that close combat.
Yeah.
Which ended up Stone Edge doing more damage because it was a high roll or some shit.
Yeah.
That was really unfortunate for him. Put him on the back foot massively. Terrakion being a huge threat to Xenon's team. I actually kind of like the combination of Sceptile and Superior in this matchup, just because they have the same kind of switch-ins on Xenon's team, and the switch-ins don't necessarily have recovery. Arcanine is gonna have it, but it doesn't really want to take a Dragon Pulse from Mega Septile, especially when the rocks are up. So you could wear down these threats and then late game cleanup with at least one of them, which would have worked. But his opponent Xenon had some really good sets that helped him. We're gonna go into that later, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it was not that Ethan played badly. It's just that other people just played better and can't. We have no reason to justify. We have no justification to move him up in any way, shape, or form this week.
Yeah.
Just
absolutely.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. That is pretty much it for the Houndoom. So moving on, at number 11, the number 11 slot, we do have Squirtacular and the Kentucky Kecleons. A first win was nice to see.
Yay.
For Josh. You know, we did say it was coming. He has been playing well despite the results. You know, the results don't tell the whole story of how he's been playing.
Yeah.
He had some really nice sets, some very good EVing on his Mons. He happened to have just some of the Mons that his opponent, Eric Ashnakai, his core didn't like. You know, he had that Nidoking, he went mixed, had the coverage to do big damage to the Fletchling's defensive core. I didn't like the fact that there were a couple of prominent water types on the Fletchling squad, and we didn't see Raikou in the team.
Yeah, that's true.
I was questioning that, but other than that, as I said, some very nice sets. That defensive Megazard, one day it'll work. One day. That was a very good idea. I liked seeing fully offensive Scolipede as well.
With HP Ice, nonetheless.
With HP Ice, very nice idea to run that, and it did come in very handy. Some of the things he did, some of the decisions he made in game. You know, we say that he had this very nice defensive Megazard set, this burning trapping set, but the way he utilized it was not ideal. I mean, when you're using that set, you want to be using it against something offensive that you want to be able to isolate, not a Mega Ordino with
or something defensive that can't do anything to you, which is not a Mega Ordino.
Not a Mega Ordino with healing. That's not the way to go, I think.
Yeah. The Mew set was weird. It was, I think, Colberberry with Volt Switch, Will-O-Wisp, Roost, and Rocks or Defog, something like that. Nah, it's a bit weird, but I guess it works. Volt Switch is only attacking move. I guess that can be a thing.
Yeah.
It worked, so kind of.
Yeah, it did its thing.
And Colberberry is always nice on Mew because
Colberberry is a great item to have in this kind of format. And everyone's running knockoff. You're almost guaranteed to see it. Colberberry can really come in clutch with these kind of things.
Definitely.
And you know, his decision at the end was dubious. You know, he could have maintained the 2-0, went for the superpower on a Ruskin Garchomp, took it down to the 1-0. I mean, if I could make the excuse for him, I'd say maybe he was just excited that the process was like he's going to win a game at last. So he just kind of clicked a button. Unfortunately, it did mean that he lost his Scolipede at the end. But you know, a win's a win. The reason he's not moving up because of that win, this, as we said at the beginning, has been a very strange week. A lot of the top table performers not performing, and by that I mean people who we have high up on our power rankings. They haven't really performed this week. So a lot of the people who are lower on the rankings have actually come out with wins. So we don't really want to be sort of moving them down when they've got these wins. So unfortunately, despite taking the victory, Josh is going to be sitting at 11 for now. But you know, if he keeps on getting the wins, as we said, he is going to be moving up. This is just the start, I think.
The tendency is looking up from now.
Yeah.
He said he's going back more to his roots. You know, his playstyle, running like weird, unusual sets, which is part of the league. So glad he finally realized that, and you know, is doing stuff like HPI Scolipede.
Yeah, very much so.
Which made me happy.
It was good to see that. Always nice to see, as we said before, these rogue hidden powers on things you don't expect. Very useful, as you say, in this kind of format where you've got a lot of ones with 4 times weaknesses.
Yeah.
These things, it's just nice to say, I'll just stick a hidden power on, and that'll be doing some nice damage.
I had Lando T in PPL. I know how difficult it is to deal with random powers.
Very much so.
And Megas is on the same team. It was not fun.
Yeah. So, moving on, I think, to number 10, and this is where things start to get a bit odd, because at number 10, moving down the list, we have Sizz and the Somerset Sizzles. Now, he did win his game. Kind of. There was in this game, it was Somerset Sizzles versus Livewurmpel FC and Richie, who we'll come on to in a little bit. Now, that game was sitting poised at 4-3 in Sizz's favour when there was a very unfortunate disconnection. Unfortunately, the game was quite far in, and there had been a lot of very game-changing things going on that couldn't be recreated. Crits happening, I think there were some additional status effects going on as well. It couldn't be recreated, so unfortunately, the league had to sort of make a call and say that, you know, on HP averages and the fact that Sizz was up as it happens, Sizz did take that win 4-3. The reason he's moved down, I just don't think he, with the greatest respect to Sizz, he's a good friend of mine. I don't think he played very well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he built fantastically. Nothing special with the EV investment. I think for the most part, other than Vaporeon, it was your standard 252, 252 going on with those. There were some things I would have liked to see on his team. Mainly to deal with Entei, because Entei's a massive threat. And, you know, Sizz did say in his commentary he wasn't expecting Entei. You always expect Entei.
You always expect everything.
You can't afford to sort of write off such a prevalent threat.
Yes.
So I would have liked to seen something like a defensive Hydreigon, which we've seen in through Miguel's use of it, is a very effective counter to Entei. It doesn't take damage. It just doesn't take damage, and it's got reliable recovery on there as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think he was needlessly wasteful with some things as well. The Roserade went down too easily when he had a Vaporeon that could have switched in. And he made a very, very silly risk that he called. He stayed in on Cure and Black when there was Tailwind up, and he was saying, you know, this could be Scarfed. This could be Scarfed in Tailwind. He called it, and he didn't act on it. I'd have liked to seen especially defensive Registeel to deal with Cure and Black. Although, have to say, I do like seeing Occa Berry counter. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. And, you know, I don't want to be too down on him. I liked the sets, stuff like that. He made some top plays in amongst that, you know, calling the Flamethrower on the Morwell switch was a fantastic thing to get that out of the way before it could even Mega Evolve. But it was too inconsistent. I don't think he played fantastically, and I think if the game had gone on, he might well have lost it.
Yeah, I'm just going to agree with you, and you said everything.
Yeah, I pretty much
He took inspiration from one person to take on Entei with the Occa Berry counter Registeel.
Yeah, that's true.
But not from Miguel, which would have been the better one.
Dragon
is just a better counter than Registeel.
True. I mean, as the person who ran Occa Berry Registeel against Entei, defensive Hydreigon is better.
Yeah.
It is.
Especially since Richie falls to PPL, he has seen that set.
Yeah, he knows these kind of things can happen, and he went for the trick first turn on Registeel to get rid of that Occa Berry. It would have been nice if that had worked out, because he gave the Occa Berry to his Rotom Mow. It would have been nice if he'd have then been able to use it later on. I don't think he did in the end. But that would have been cool to see. But yeah, you know, but what we've seen here is that Sizz has taken a win. He is, at the very least, at a sort of positive win-to-loss ratio. So, you know, if he can just take this momentum and carry it on, he will probably be rising back up from whence he came, up the power rankings.
Yes, indeed.
So, moving on to number 9, and we just mentioned him, the opponent of the Somerset Sizzles for this week gone, Richie and the Liv Wurmple FC. Moving down again, it's sad. It just doesn't look like he's able to use this team as well as he would like.
Yeah, it doesn't fit his playstyle apparently. He was complaining that it's too slow. Now he brought in Jolteon for next week, which is fast as all fuck. So it should be helping him with that. Yeah, he just doesn't. He has a good team, but it doesn't fit him. Yeah, that's a problem. That's one thing in draft format that's really important. You don't just draft a team with good things. It has to fit your playstyle. You can't just draft like a really offensive team, which he doesn't have. He has a lot of bulk, but in general, when you're more of a defensive player or other way around, you know, that's just general advice.
Absolutely. As far as his playing was going, you know, as we said, it was unlucky about the disconnection because he could well have pulled it back from the position he was in. I absolutely believe he could have won it. There are a few little misplays on his part, you know, losing Rotom Mow quite needlessly. I think it's possible that he forgot he'd tricked away the Scarf. It's just, you know, these little things to pay attention to in game. They're easy to overlook sometimes, but it was something of a needless loss of Rotom Mow. I liked seeing Tailwind on Golbat, that was nice, and combining that with Scarfed Cure and Black in the Tailwind, because as we said, you know, he's got a slowish team. Cure and Black isn't Sanic speed.
Yeah. 95 is
So running that with a scarf in the tailwind was a really good call, actually. But as we say, he's trying to bring in some of these faster mons. So I guess we'll just have to see how that fares when he's able to use that speed, which, as we said, sort of more suits him in his playstyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about this.
Doing a lot of the vocal work here.
Yeah, especially
myself,
since
because
I actually didn't see the match.
Yeah, Schady was a bit behind. It was pretty stacked with other things going on.
I just saw all the other matches, but this one I just completely missed. It was even up somewhere.
I mean, it wasn't uploaded as an actual battle. It was
it was somewhere in the TBU channel. I just couldn't find it anymore. So
yeah, it was an unlisted upload just so that people could judge how to call the battle.
Yeah, but I kind of
easy
knew what
one
happened,
to miss.
So
yeah,
it's not like I'm completely clueless here.
Yeah. So, as we say, that is going to be it for number 9. So, moving on to number 8, and once again, we are in agreement with Eric, Ashen Akai, and the Bristol City Fletchlings. Taking the 1-0 loss to the Kentucky Kecleons. He had a gross call, we know this. Chansey and Mega Ordino is fairly disgusting.
Just a little bit.
Just a wee bit disgusting. It was unfortunate for him, as we said, that Josh happened to have one of the Pokemon that really doesn't mind taking that core on, in the form of Mixed Nidoking.
Which doesn't mind taking on any core ever.
Yeah, Mixed Nidoking is pretty much will have a go at anything. He's pretty easy with what he attacks.
I could make a joke there, but I'm just gonna not do it.
Yeah, let's get your mind out of the gutter, Schady. Honestly, terrible. But yeah, Eric and his team. One of the main things I wanted to put him up on for was he's going up against a team. On that squad there is Raikou, Nidoking, Shaymin, and P2. Eric's team has a lot of good natural special bulk, but he had no special defense investment, I don't believe.
I mean, Chansey doesn't need it.
It doesn't need it, but you're going up against these really powerful special threats. It's as well to have one thing that's invested. I don't think there was any special defense investment at all, which is a risk, even when you have mons that have such good special bulk naturally. It's always nice to have that kind of safety net of something that can guarantee to absolutely chew a hit.
Which is Chansey.
Shut up.
I mean, I'm just saying that Chansey needs special defense investment. It doesn't ever run special defense investment because it doesn't need it.
Yeah, it always really runs
max HP, max def, or max. I guess max def, max def is also a thing, but that's kind of stupid.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it would have been as well to see Mega Ordino with some special defensive investment. I believe he did have an assault vest user, which I think was Clawitzer.
Yes,
I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure Clawitzer is often assault vest on his team.
Yeah. As to the rest of his mons, let's look at some of the offensive things. Running a Talonflame with no hazard removal,
especially a bulky one, doesn't just kill something and then die.
Yeah, and Squirtacular Josh has 4 prominent Stealth Rock users on his squad.
And we're just gonna trust you.
Yeah, I mean he's going to be bringing it on at least one thing when you've got a Talonflame on the opposite roster.
Yeah.
He really should have had some kind of hazard removal going on.
Yeah. His team just looked like he took smoke and spreads and sets. It looked a bit too standard for me. I'm not trying to say that he did. I highly doubt that he did. Just what it looked like. It's like he has all these very standard sets and spreads, 252, 252, that kind of stuff. It kind of bothered me, especially since his opponent Josh has so many very, very, very versatile Pokemon. Mew, Nidoking, most importantly, Shaman as well, all these guys. And he just brought the standard sets on his mons, which were kind of It just didn't fit too well in this matchup. But yeah.
I mean, some of them were looking to work. I mean, the Chomp was looking like it would have done a fair amount of work. It was just unfortunate that by the time it was brought in, it was just a little bit too late, and the damage had already been done. Because otherwise, that Garchomp could have been a real problem to the Kecleons.
That's true.
My other thing with the Talonflame, going back to it, is that it was a wise decision to bring it. When you've got something like Scolipede that can run rampant with the speed boosts, Talonflame is a necessity.
Wait, did I say there was a bulky Talonflame? It wasn't even a bulky Talonflame.
It was a banded.
Yeah,
I thought you said it was banded.
Stupid. I just watched his next one. There's also a banded one. I'm all over the place.
I misheard you. I thought you said banded.
No, I said bulky. I'm stupid.
It was banded.
Ignore me.
Schady is just getting himself back into the game really. After his absence a couple of weeks ago, he still hasn't quite gotten good enough.
Thanks for the excuses that I don't need.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, on this Talonflame, a very wise decision to bring it. He called it, you know, in battle he called it, you know, knowing that Josh has this Scolipede that can have speed boost going all over the place. He knew he needed that priority Brave Bird, and he promptly kind of wasted the Talonflame, and that allowed the Scolipede to really do some work in the end game. You know, things could have been different if he had kept Talonflame around. You know, unfortunately, it wasn't to be.
Yeah, that's pretty much that.
Yeah. Moving on, I think, to position 7 on the on the power rankings, and on position 7 is the fast rising Blastburn Rovers, now of course being coached by K2, aka Kyle. He has, you know, he's risen about 3 places, I think.
Yep, 3
on our lists, and rightly so. He had an absolutely blindingly good game. 5-0ing top of the table Anima, giving her first loss.
Yeah.
You know, he got the team spot on, the predicted team that Anima was going to bring. He just brought exactly the right things. His Hariyama use was excellent. His EVs were very standard. I believe he kind of just went 252, 252 on most things.
I think so too. Yes.
Yeah. But you know, it worked out for him. He was running some very good ideas. You know, having Toxic on the Mega Pincer, knowing that there was bulky switch-ins, very good idea. And sort of in line with that, knowing that Anima likes using that Aromatisse with the cleric moves, having heavy slam on Hariyama, knowing that would do huge damage, was another very good call. And you know, he just made some very good plays. His first 2 plays were excellent, protecting on the fake out, toxic on the switch to Hippowdon.
Yeah, that gave him huge momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Pasho Berry staying in with Excadrill on the Starmie, you know, knowing he could take a hit and getting damage off. Happened to be that the Greninja switched in. Getting damage off on that was excellent. Always nice to cause big damage to a threat like Greninja.
Greninja was pretty much dead at that point.
He kind of... Sorry, go on.
Okay, he kind of benefited from Anima being underprepared for two of its threats. Those being Slowking as a defensive threat and Hariyama as being a bulky offensive one. She had nothing for Hariyama, like literally nothing.
Not really.
Even could have tried to attempt to kill it and beat it 1v1. Well, kill it, but not take it on a 1v1. So yeah, that's a thing that benefited him hugely, but not taking away anything from him. He planned pretty much perfectly, a bit too standard EVs, but yes.
Yeah.
He changed it for next week, spoilers.
I mean, it just pretty much all went to plan for him, didn't it?
Yeah, it just went out perfectly for him.
What
something that you mentioned at the end, which I'm not sure if you want to go over that, the Slowking sacking thing.
That's what I was about to say. A very wise use of Slowking. You know, it would be easy to sort of be tempted to try and go for the big 6-0 victory. However, situation was he had Slowking in on Medicham and he could have just gone for Shadow Balls and taken it out. However, knowing that Bisharp was left and knowing that Bisharp could set up on Slowking, what he was doing was deliberately going for Scalds on the Medicham, sacking off the Slowking, sacrificing the 6-0 so that he knew that Bisharp couldn't set up, because Slowking is kind of Bisharp's setup fodder.
Unless there's a burn.
Unless there's a burn. But, you know, he just wasn't willing to take that risk, rightly so. It was just, he just played that end game very wisely indeed, very intelligently, knowing that if he allowed Slowking to live and Bisharp could come in, it could have been a turning point in the battle that he didn't want to be part of, really. So yeah, just very, very intelligently played. Rising fast up, and you have him sort of pinned as a potential playoff player, don't you?
I'm calling him to get the playoffs right now. Like I already did before. But I know Kyle, I know how good he is, and if he doesn't get into the playoffs, then I'm going to be surprised, honestly.
Yeah.
We're not taking anything away from anyone else, of course, but Kyle is just fucking crazy good.
He is certainly proving himself. Certainly off the back of that battle, we'll have to see if he can continue his good form into the rest of the games.
Yes. Yeah, that's that.
Alrighty. So moving on to number 6 into the the top half of the table, as it were. And at 6 we do have Xenon and the Slovenian Arcanines. He's really turned things around from the start of the season. You know, coming in off 0-2, and now sitting at 3-2 as of the 5th week battles, taking the win over the Highland Houndooms. He had a well-built team with some very, once again, very Xenon-esque building, with some unexpected things. That special scarfed Arcanine was a fantastic call. You know, obviously there, because he didn't want to be bopped by the Mega Septile, I guess, or actually probably more likely the Superior, which is obviously sort of super speedy Sanic Superior.
I'm not sure if he had Dragon Pulse, because if he didn't, he deserved to win. Unstepped Dragon coverage.
Yeah, unstepped Dragon coverage, of course, is the way forward.
Does it do more? I can't do math than Overheat.
Nice in maths.
It might. I can't be bothered.
But yeah, I mean, running that special Scarf Arcanine was excellent. Yeah, he did rely on sort of 1 or 2 mons to win, but you know, he could afford to. With those being like Arcanine and I think Scizor put in a fair amount of work. He had
cool. I like that because it was dare to take on bulky Rotom Wash, which is normally, you know, a counter to Scizor. But you could outspeed the defensive one, set up a sub on it. Volt Switch would not break the sub. He could Bug Bite, potential what's it called, Chesto Berry.
Chesto, yeah.
And it didn't work because there was an offensive Rotom, but the idea was really nice. I like that a lot.
Yeah, the idea was excellent.
Also, the Dragonite was also there to take on defensive Rotom.
Yeah,
maybe a bit too much having 2 things that are tailored to take on a thing, because Dragonite, just run a Lumberry on it and run Dragon Dance and you pop.
Yeah, I believe he was running Resto Chesto on Dragonite, I think.
Yeah, which I'm not sure if that's necessary, honestly. But the idea is cool, not sure if it's necessary.
I mean, I guess what it has over just your standard Lum is being able to get back up to multi-scale.
I mean, then you just run Roost.
True, I suppose. These are the many ways that you can deal with it.
So I think it was just...
It'd be cool if Dragonite got Acrobatics, wouldn't it?
It would be cool if Dragonite's got a kill this season.
Oh ho! There it is.
I'm just saying. I like Dragonite. Just get kills.
Looking for those Dragonite KOs. But yeah, you know, after week 2, when Xenon, as we said, was 0-2, we said at the time, this is Xenon, you can never discount him. And, you know, here we are, 3 weeks later, 3 victories later, and he's rising up the rankings and the table. So,
Indeed.
You know, he's doing well with it. I personally don't think he needed to sack Dragalge when he did. Could have maybe tried to maintain a better differential, but it would have only been a differential of 1. We'll have to see how crucial that 1 potential higher differential might count.
Could be very crucial looking at how close the top is. You know,
it could well. I mean, things are really close. They're neck and neck at the top. It's coming down, as we say, to differential. So we'll have to see how crucial these little decisions might be. But you know, either way, it's a 3rd win on the trot for the Arcanines. Looking really good at the moment.
Yes. And with that, we move on to number 5, which I'm going to take over real quick because why not?
Go for it.
For once. It's Frito for both of us.
Yes,
and the Welchions. Kind of the opposite of Xenon, pretty much. Starting off 2-0, now 2-3, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. His match against Bice was weird. None of them were really prepared because they didn't have time. They agreed not to prepare too much. Just grab 6 things that might look decent and go with it.
Yeah.
Which means preparation is not part of these power rankings for this match.
Yeah.
Not too much, at least. Frito got really unlucky with the Gengar versus Clefable matchup. But you know, that's what happens when you face the Lord and Savior Clefable. That's just how it goes. But yeah, he got parried, I think, like 3 times, 2 special attack drops. So that was just brutal.
It was.
It was also the closest loss that I've seen in a while. Probably in general. You know, 0-0. That doesn't happen every day. For some reason there are no ties anymore in Pokemon. Stupid, but that's how it is. Which means he is still not in his top form. You know, 2-3. He's moving down from number 1, definite number 1 after week 1 and 2, to number 5 now. with the people behind him, mainly Kyle and Xenon, being right on his neck and trying to get up there. And
Yeah.
he will probably go up there. If he continues to lose, he will definitely go down. So, yeah, there wasn't not much to say about this game for me personally.
I mean,
because preparation was kind of eh.
Yeah, I mean, if there had been preparation time, I didn't realise at the time that there hadn't been, upon seeing the teams. I was surprised at the time not to see Wheezing. Any kind of Wheezing, when you've got Weavile and Tyrantrum, like, sitting there, and a Clefable. I was surprised not to see the Wheezing on the team. You got a very bad start, leaving in Zorok, which was neither scarfed nor sashed. But as we say, you know, this was a game without a lot of preparation, so we'll forgive some of the set choices, I suppose. Speaking of set choices, I'm sure Mega Pidgeot gets Thunder, quote.
I almost forgot about that.
It doesn't.
Frito.
Yeah, you're a better player than that, Frito. Come on now.
I'm gonna punch you in the face for that.
Well,
just because it's Frito, everyone else would be allowed, but it's Frito.
Yeah, I mean, Frito Mega Pidgeot does.
Also, something I've written down I almost forgot about. He let Empoleon get weakened way too early. Empoleon was so important this game, checking or even countering so many of Bice's threats.
When Weavile was still around as well.
Yeah, which, you know, it doesn't take on too well, but it can live one hit usually.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that can live a hit from Weavile.
Yeah, so he let it down way too early. He just let it get weakened, which was Bice's plan to some extent.
Yeah.
That just, you know, cost him the game pretty much.
He openly stated his intention to sack Sylveon at one point when Tyrantrum and Weavile were still around.
Yeah.
Which I would question. I mean, Sylveon has bulk to maybe take a hit.
I think it can live a scuffed head smash, depending on rolls.
It can certainly live a scarfed outrage.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah, I mean, I questioned that play at the time. But you know, it hasn't been an amazing sort of section of games for Frito, has it? I mean, as we say, he had such a promising start, and now unfortunately taking those 3 losses on the trot. But this is a man who doesn't make all that many huge mistakes. He's a good player, and I fully expect him to be able to bounce back from this.
Pidgeot.
Besides thinking that Pidgeot gets Thunder.
Because then it would definitely not be a UU. It might have just got banned like a couple hours ago.
Yeah, it did. It did in fact get banned from UU
because
very
it gets Thunder now.
You're never gonna let that one go, are you?
Nope.
No. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this does have to come down to the fact that there was no prep really going on with these teams, and you know, Frito with prep, I think, might probably have done a bit of a better job. At least he is consistently running Mach Punch on Infinite, which is nice.
Didn't help him anyway. He lost.
Yeah, very close. I'm not sure if that was a roll on the Mach Punch.
Probably.
It might well have been.
Probably a roll.
Either way, certainly one of the most exciting finishes to a game that we've seen this season. Really exciting stuff looking at that end game.
Indeed.
So, with that, we move on to number 4, and we
agree on.
Yeah, the last one that we do agree on. I think no, there's one more that we do.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we have Enzo and the Swiskers in at 4, taking the 3-0 loss to Gabe and the LA Galuxray. The LA Galuxray?
And LA Galuxray.
Yeah, that is his second on the bounce. Yeah. You know, we said at the time that it wasn't so much that Gabe won that game as that Enzo lost it. He had... I mean, we're going to go into some of the issues we have with his team, but what I have to say at the beginning is, once again, his EVing was great. He had some very nice spreads and sets. That Lando T set I really liked.
As well as defensive Victini, mixed Kuro.
And defensive Victini, yeah.
Mixed Scuff was really nice.
He looked to have made a really great trade in Thunderous as well, so he was looking in a really good position.
Yeah.
It was just unfortunate that he had to lose Lando so early. That was a sub Swords Dance Salakberry Landorus Therian, by the way, for those of you who may have missed that. Really, really great looking set. I was looking forward to seeing that do some work when I heard about it. But then we get on to some of the more questionable ideas.
Yeah, let me.
Do you want to talk about the Venusaur?
I'm going to start with other things and then start my rant about the Venusaur.
Okay.
His team was very weak to Goodra. He had nothing that could really switch into it, which led to Lando, which like you said was a really nice set. Die early to an ice beam, just to get a knockoff off. I think is what happened. Which is unfortunate. Should have probably prepared a bit better for the Gudra. The Victini set, Defensive Victini is a cool idea. Just bringing Psychic Blue Flare, I think is what it was, or some of the other weird special fire moves it gets. Will-O-Wisp and something else that can touch Heatran.
I can find very quickly what his
that would be cool.
What his set was. I think
his set was completely walled by Heatran, which was a huge issue to his team. He could probably Focus Blast.
I see what he had. Yeah, he was Will-O-Wisp, Blue Flare, Psychic, and Taunt on that.
Taunt, okay. So yeah, maybe not the best idea there. Then we have the problem was constantly clicking Outrage with his Kyurem, which was his win condition, when it was still a Heatran around, which led to Kyurem dying, his win condition dying, or one of his win conditions, his biggest one probably. And that also, those things together led to Heatran just pretty much winning the game to some extent. Lando and Kyurem were the only things that could really kill it. Everything else just couldn't.
Yeah.
Now we move on to the Venusaur set. Curse, Rest, Sleep Talk, and Petal Blizzard. Cool idea. I like the idea. Not in this matchup. Not even remotely. Not even a little bit. There's a Heatran.
Yeah.
Even at +6, it does like maybe 10%. Probably a bit more, but you get my point. It just doesn't work. There's also Gudra, which could be Sap Sipper and can do decent damage. There is Chestnut, which doesn't take any damage and can, I don't know, fucking set up a belly drum. What do I know? If that would have happened, I would have been so happy.
I look forward to hopefully seeing a belly drum Chestnut at some point.
We have to. Gabe, you have to. Yeah, he was massively unprepared for Heatran, and his Venusaur set just didn't work in this matchup. Heatran can beat every Venusaur doesn't have Sleep Powder and or Earthquake. 1v1. Let it be the set that Gabriel won with Taunt, or let it be one with Taunt Lava Plume would have worked, or Magma Storm. That's a nice move. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Just look at the matchup more if you bring a set like that. He just revealed something that could potentially win him a game in the future. Not the best idea.
Possibly not. No.
That's pretty much that. So, yeah.
Right, well, with that sort of tying things up on Enzo at 4, we move on to position number 3, and for the first time, we're actually going to disagree here. We're actually going to disagree. Who do you have at 3, Schady?
I have Gabriel from the LA Luxray. Do I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Gabe, I finally moved him up again. He was at 5 last week, and I kind of felt bad because he kind of deserved to be higher, but it just didn't work out. So now he is there, even though his preparation and his things and stuff weren't on point for me personally. Gudra had Focus Blast for literally no single reason whatsoever. It was set to hit Kyurem and Omastar. He had Draco Meteor and T-Bolt. I understand that he wants a reliable way to hit Kyurem, which means he could have ran Dragon Pulse, but he decided to run Focus Blast, which is everything but reliable. Focus Blast was a waste. He could have ran Dragon Pulse, he could have ran so many other moves. Gudra has a massive move pool. So, there's that. Altaria, when there's a Mega Venusaur, a Dragonlance variant? No. I understand he wanted a Cleric. I completely understand that. But I don't think it was necessary. I feel like something like Uxie, something like Escavalier, and maybe even a Azumarill would have been better. Escavalier also has Overcoat, which means it can't be put to sleep by the Venusaur, which is another thing that... Did you have... Escavalier wasn't on the bench? I think it was not on the bench. I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
I don't think it was on the bench. I can very quickly check.
If it was, then apologies, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
No, it was not on the bench.
See, they have another thing that can take on Mega Venusaur, and especially end the set. I think Escavalier would have been better over Altaria. Azumarill would have been nice, even though it also gets walled by Mega Venusaur.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I'm not feeling the Altaria. He was underprepared for Venusaur in general.
Yeah.
Because every good set in this matchup runs Earthquake. Enzo opted to go with the curse set that we mentioned, which helped Gabe, of course, in dealing with the thing. But he was massively unprepared for Mega Venusaur. He has 2 Psychic types on his team, in Uxie and Espeon. He didn't bring any of those when there's a Mega Venusaur. Why? I don't know. Doesn't Espeon get healed? I'm pretty sure it does, because that's an evolution thing.
I think so.
I'm pretty certain. So he could have ran Heal Espeon, because he has run Wish as well. So why not go balls to the wall? And Espeon does a shitload of damage to Mega Venusaur.
Yeah.
So that would have been a lot better. I don't think Enzo has any Pursuit Trappers on his team. So, Espeon would have been a lot better than Altaria. That's that. That was the negative things. I'm going to leave the positive things to you because you have him higher than me. That's a smart decision.
This is true.
So you can give him the praise.
I shall. And my number 3, I have Bice and the Twin Leaf Tyrants, taking that 0-0 win over Frito's Welchions. That takes him to 4-1, I think, if I'm not entirely mistaken. So he's looking really good. As we said, there was no team customization due to time constraints in this game, so we're not entirely looking too much into that. Tyrantrum left in on a potential Sylveon turn 1 was a bit of a gamble. As it turns out, it was the Zoroark. But that was something of a gamble.
I think he just wanted to get damage off and didn't feel like he needed Tyrantrum. I guess that's fair.
Yeah. That's I suppose so. He had a bit of unfortunateness of his own. Losing Dugtrio to the Skull Burn was a bit unfortunate, but
to be honest,
he did more than make up for that. With the T-Waves on Gengar, lots and lots of paralysis going on there. 3 in a row, I think, at one point, and then another one later as well. But he saved the right Mons. He saved the right ones till the end. He actually played that. He played that well, knowing that Feraligatr was going to be necessary. And just did what he had to do. It was lucky. I think we were saying it might have been a roll on the Mach Punch from Ape, as to whether that would have KO'd or not. But either way, he saved the right ones until the end. Played a pretty good game. He had a tendency to overpredict a little bit too much in the early game. Consistent crunches on Empoleon. Predicting Gengar allowed the Empoleon to get off too much damage for my liking. On what I think was the Gator.
I think he just clicked Crunch because it was his most damaging moves.
Fair enough.
He needed to weaken Empoleon.
I suppose.
Because Empoleon was a problem to his team. But he played around with Burns way too much.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Scald. You always expect the burn would Scald.
Yeah, you always have to assume that it is going to burn, because as we know, 30% actually means 83%, I believe. Is
exactly 83.
It is exactly 83% chance
maybe
for Scald to burn.
0.3 or something, but that's not important.
Yeah, we play around with decimals here, but really, you don't want to be messing around with it too much on your physical attackers, which he kind of did. But, it was a very exciting game, certainly. He managed to get some useful hacks on the Gengar, which he was able to sort of take advantage of, keep his Clefable at decent health to take it on. He continues to rise up the rankings, does Spice. A very, very consistent player, just as we say, that one loss. He's playing well. He's certainly looking to launch an offensive on the top spot at some point.
Yep. And with that, we move on to number 2, which we agree on again, which is nice.
We do agree. That is going to be
from the Golden State Dragons. Okay, I'm gonna start real quick. I have 2 things. She had nothing for Oyama. Literally nothing. Not even remotely. Medicham didn't even have a stab move to Oko it, so and also Slowking. Her Medicham had Rock Slide and Poison Jab. I don't see the point. Run one of them. Rock Slide hits Mega Pinsir for super effective damage, destroys it completely. But so does a Psychic Stab, to be fair. So what, like Thunder Punch? Thunder Punch would hit Togekiss. It would hit Mega Pinsir, and most importantly, Slowking. That's the one thing that resists both of her stabs, and she didn't opt to go with Thunder Punch, which would have been the optimal coverage move. Didn't do it, which cost her the game completely. She got 5-0'd by Kyle, which is not a shame, in my opinion, because I did as well.
But certainly nothing to be ashamed of. It was a pretty sizable loss, as we said. Not preparing for Hariyama. Not only that, actively wasn't expecting it. I think she said in her if not in her team building, then certainly in the first matchup, she said, "Oh, wasn't expecting Hariyama." But with the prevalence of special attackers on her team, I'm not sure it was wise to not expect Hariyama. It's a really nice answer to a lot of things she has, and even things like the Aromatisse. It can carry the heavy slam. In this case, it did, and it was able to get the KO with it.
Just because there are a lot of psychic types doesn't mean you don't bring Hariyama, because it's a Hariyama.
Hariyama's
a Pokemon you can bring every game, and most of the time will do something. Someone switch in because knockoff is a thing that hurts. So yeah, always expect Yama, and run coverage moves for things that resist your dual stab.
I think also my only other thing was at the end game. I think she was playing the fake out plays a bit too much. At the point where she went for fake out at the end, been just as well to go for the drain punch. At that point, she really had nothing to lose, and she could have maybe gained a little bit of a better losing differential, perhaps. I think that is what is really separating her from the teams that are above her on the table, is just that differential. So it's decisions like that that really can change things. We have to mention that she did get very unfortunate with the items. In her team building video, she did have a sash on the Bisharp, which for some reason had disappeared by the time it came to the video, because she was fully expecting to be able to set up a sword stance and try and go for sucker punches. She was genuinely surprised when it was OHKO'd because there was no sash. And as we say, that was unfortunate. I guess maybe accidentally brought the wrong Bisharp,
potentially.
Was all I could possibly say there. That was unfortunate. But this is her first loss. I don't think she'll let it affect her too much. She's a very good player. She won't let a loss sort of throw her off kilter, I don't think. Still a very real title contender.
Definitely. So yeah, that's pretty much that.
So we move on to our number 1 position, and once again, for the second time here, we are going to be disagreeing. We've just got a couple of coaches that we've got sort of swapped around.
If you kept up or just looked at the screen right now, our number 1 and 3 are exactly switched.
Yes, absolutely. I have Gabe and the LA Galluxray.
Well, I have Bison
up at number 1.
Tyrants. You can start off.
Team building, I think, was a great strength for the most part. For the LA Galluxray, in so much as his predictions of what Enzo was going to bring, and once again his EVing, he's really taken on board and taken to heart when we've picked up on his EVs early on in the season not being ideal. He's really picked up on that, and it's coming good for him. I think he was very well prepped for a Suicune that never showed its face, but he was still able to use his Mons fairly effectively. Other than that, the sacking of Altaria was an unfortunate misclick.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Sort of bringing that in, and I think he literally, when he was doing his video, he paused it and explained before it happened what was about to happen. And his reaction to that was I don't want to say it was funny, but it kind of was. So that was just unfortunate for him. We've said it. He didn't prep well for Mega Venusaur. Heatran isn't a counter to Mega Venusaur, not with Thick Fat going on, not with its ridiculous bulk going on.
And with Earthquake normally being a thing.
Yeah, and with Earthquake it would normally win that matchup. As Schady has mentioned, you've got 2 very prominent psychic types on your team, and he didn't bring them.
Garbage.
Oh wow, there it is. No, he didn't draft Mesprit.
Fuck off.
For those of you who are unaware, I am very much Team Uxie, whereas Mesprit, Schady is very much Team Mesprit. So hashtag Team Uxie in the comments.
Hashtag Team Mesprit. Fucker.
Never. Anyway, He has those two psychic types. He didn't bring either. I'm not actually convinced that he had a super effective hit on Mega Venusaur, not including fire type hits because obviously of Thick Fat. I don't think he had any flying type attacks. I'm not sure he had psychic type attacks.
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Which, you know, when you're going up against a Mega Venusaur, that's not ideal. That's not ideal. You really need something for it. It was lucky. He was lucky that the set Enzo brought was not ideal for the situation. But you know, the rest of his team, I liked that he brought Chesnor. I liked his hazard options against a team that I'm not sure has too much in the way of hazard removal. I'm just looking very quickly down. He's only really got Fortress, and we all know how Schady feels about Fortress. Not favourably is the answer, ladies and gentlemen. Not favourably. But you know, he's still looking very good on the table. He still took a convincing 3-0 victory. For me, that's still good enough for him to be raised up to the #1 position on the table. But you know, I think hopefully this will be a little bit of a sort of call to him to look at sort of matchups that he thinks he's going to win, but actually under most normal circumstances he wouldn't. I'm looking at Heatran versus Venusaur here. Normally that's not a matchup that Heatran is actually going to win, despite the type advantage it appears to have. But hopefully we won't be seeing him making those kind of little errors again. He still managed to take the win. He's still looking really good for the title.
Yep. And my #1, as I mentioned, is Bice from Twin Leaf Tyrants. This is more so other people moving down than him moving up too much. He deserves the #1 spot in my opinion, because he had one not optimal performance and every other one was just really, really solid. He just plays good games. He preserves his win condition very well, which in my opinion is one of the most important things in Pokemon. Preserve your win conditions, kids. It's important because it's a win condition, which means you win. Yeah, that's smart.
Lessons with Schady.
Yeah, Bice just plays well. He prepares well, which he didn't do this game, of course, because there was no preparation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just Bice deserves to be there. And if he can continue his trend of playing well and preserving win conditions and stuff, he can definitely win the title, maybe, or at least definitely get into the playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, he's sitting in the top 3 on the table, I believe, at the moment. That record of 4-1, yeah, is really says it all. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot what I wanted to say. That's nice.
Nice and professional.
Wasn't too important, so it's whatever.
There it is.
I mean, so, yeah, okay. If he continues the luck that he had with Clefable, he's gonna win.
yeah. That was very fortunate. He was able to capitalize on getting some very favorable hacks for him in, as we said, that Clefable Gengar matchup. So yeah, that puts Bice at #1 for Schady, Gabe at #1 for myself, and with that, that's pretty much going to tie things up here. We have got to the top of our list, so it's probably where we're going to call things. So thank you all very much for watching. We do hope that you have enjoyed. As we said at the beginning of the video, and as we will continue to say, these are entirely our opinions, and this one will probably be a little bit different for people because simply of how the game's played out. A lot of people towards the lower end of the power rankings coming up with victories, and a lot of those consequently, of course, at the top of the power rankings not getting those victories. But you know, we don't want to have like a full-scale change of the table. We can't just put all the people from below up to above simply off the back of this 1 week of victories for them. As we said, this is based on other weeks gone by. We do take that into account, so we can't just be moving people completely based on win or loss, you know. But you know, on that note, as we say, these are our opinions. Let us know yours. Do you think we were right or wrong? And you know, where would you have placed people in your own list of power rankings? We are always eager to hear what you guys are thinking. But yeah, as we say, that's going to pretty much wrap things up. Schady, any last things to add?
No, thank you for watching, and Frito, get good.
As ever.
The weekly jab.
The weekly jab at Frito. I have faith. I think Frito is going to get good.
So do I, but I can't say that.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, that is going to draw things to a conclusion for us. Look out for all the games coming up from week 6. Some really interesting ones that we went over. I think the video actually went up on Wednesday, our Union News, where we went over this week's fixtures. So look out for those on the various managers' channels. I think you'll be able to find them in the description. If not, they'll be somewhere around on the channel. The next time you will hear from us should be on next Tuesday, when we have our next edition of the Union News. But until then, that is going to wrap things up from us. So we will see you next time, TBU fans. Goodbye.
Goodbye.